Hello friends, this is Grease speaking. Today we're going to be looking at the highly requested series, Something is Killing the Children. A pretty gruesome comic that doesn't pull any punches. Something really is killing the children in the small town of Archer's Peak, but a mysterious woman named Erica Slaughter shows up to fight it. It's brutal, it's emotional, and it's stylish as hell, so I'm excited to get into this. I was hesitant to cover this comic at first because it's still an ongoing series, but it is easily separated into different story arcs that I can cover in chunks. So I'll go through the first story arc today, and if you guys like it and want to see more, let me know. I'll continue to the next arc. Before we get into it, I do want to say I recently launched memberships on my channel. I wanted to offer some fun perks for members like a movie club, as well as grief stickers and holiday postcards that are handwritten by me. This week for the club, I made a video about the new Frankenstein movie. So go check out the options, and if you're interested, become a channel member. Now let's get into the comic. As I said, this series doesn't pull any punches, so if you're squeamish or sensitive, especially to the death of children, you may want to steer clear. This is Something is Killing the Children, explained. Issue number 1. We kick off with some young high school friends playing Truth or Dare at a sleepover. A boy named James chooses Truth, and his friends ask what's the most scared he's ever been. James says that one night he heard a strange noise coming from the ravine behind his house. Out of curiosity, he turned out the lights and looked out into the darkness. There he saw a thing standing taller than a tree in his backyard. It had long fingers and sharp teeth. The sight of it scared him so much that he hid on the couch, and when he checked again, the monster was gone. After telling this story, all of James' friends immediately called bullshit, saying that he made it up, but he insists that it's all true, finally daring them to go to the ravine and see for themselves. It then cuts to James sitting in a white room with wide, terrified eyes and his shirt covered in blood. A cop is asking him questions about what happened at the ravine that night. He says that the story wasn't real, he just made it up, and that they'd even snuck out to the ravine before, but this time it was different. Tears well up in James' eyes as he repeats to himself that he made up the story and that the monster wasn't real. The cop tries to calm him down and asks what happened when they got to the ravine. James wipes the tears from his eyes as he says, he heard all of his friends screaming. And here we get the title page and caption reading 2 weeks later, as well as a sort of strange sight. A young girl with an eye bandage is missing an arm and is sitting in a red wagon at the edge of some woods. She looks up with a wide eye when she sees a woman with blonde hair and a black bandana with teeth on it walking out of the woods. She's covered in blood and dual-wielding machetes. This is Erica Slaughter. She slumps to the ground next to the wagon and grabs a bottle of water out of her backpack. It's clear Erica has just had the fight of her life. She tells the little girl that it's over now, and at the same time her cell phone rings with a caller ID of St. George, whatever that is. It seems she's getting some new orders for God knows what in the small town of Archer's Peak, which she writes on her arm. She hangs up the phone and the girl asks her if there are any more of them out there. We don't know what they are, but Erica confirms there's more and then asks if she can use the little girl's shower. Outside of Archer's Peak High School, James is confronted with memorials for his friends who were killed. Another kid approaches James and accuses him of killing his friends. Apparently the bodies were found torn to pieces. On top of these accusations, we learn that James is gay, and the kid makes some homophobic comments as well, saying that just because they wouldn't kiss him, he killed them. James finally snaps and screams at the kid, telling him to shut the up. I guess this led to him seeing the principal, who is surprisingly sympathetic. In fact, Principal Collins talks about how messed up the whole situation is. 9 kids dead in 2 weeks and more missing every day. The police have no idea what to make of it. Their best theory is that it's a rabid bear. Collins straight up says that he should probably be fired and that he has no idea what he's doing. He was only in school himself just a few years ago. James tells him that he likes him a lot more than the old principal. He lets James go without any punishment and even adds that he should have knocked the other kid out for saying that stuff. Okay, this is a pretty cool principal, or he's just losing it. I don't know, but I like him. Later at the bus station, Erica Slaughter arrives in Archer's Peak and immediately sees a bulletin board chock full of missing children. Meanwhile, James left school early, and apparently him and his father are staying at a hotel for the time being, considering their house is now a crime scene. Just as James is about to head into the hotel, he's approached by Erica. She knows him by name and starts asking him what he saw that night when everything went down. He tells her that he already told the cops everything, but She says she wants to know the truth, what he really saw that night. James is hesitant and Erica sympathizes with him a little. She knows he's scared and doubting everything that he saw. Now the world seems to make a lot less sense and that feeling's been getting worse every day. But she promises that whatever he tells her, she'll believe it. So James decides to tell her the full story of what happened, and we see it in a flashback. As him and his friends ran into the woods, James fell and got left behind. When he finally caught up, his friends were all screaming bloody murder. He spotted one of them, Noah, and tried to help him, but realized that he was missing his lower half, dragging his torso as his entrails poured out before finally dying. James went into a full panic and started running for help when he spotted his friend Carl's body, missing his arm and his lower jaw. James slipped on some blood at this point and fell to the ground. He looked over to see Carl reaching out his remaining hand for help as a massive black monster with a dozen eyes, sharp teeth, and long fingers picked the boy up and ripped him in half in front of James. Jesus. I honestly didn't expect the gore to be this intense, especially considering it's kids being killed. Erica thanks James for telling him the full story and gets another call on her phone. She tells the mysterious person on the other line that she's got the situation handled. James wants to know what the hell's going on, and Erica says that he's got a monster in these woods. She then pulls a knife out of her backpack as she declares she's gonna kill it. After a moment, James asks if he can help. Issue number 2. A young man named Tommy wakes up late for work. It looks like he hasn't gotten much sleep, and we learn this is because his kid sister Sophie is one of the missing children in Archer's Peak. He lives with his mother, who isn't looking too good either, as you can imagine. She hands him some flyers and says to leave them on the cars in the parking lot at his restaurant job. He tries to argue with her about it, but loses, so he grabs the papers and walks out of the house. It's clear that these are actually missing child posters of his sister. Tommy steps out the door and toward his car when he hears a strange noise. Looking over his shoulder, we can see the huge looming monster only feet away from him standing in the yard. And yet, Tommy doesn't seem to acknowledge it. Okay, so it seems like maybe only children can see these creatures. James follows Erica as she makes her way toward an Applebee's. Oh, sorry, I mean an Apple Beams. She walks in to find the manager, who just so happens to be Tommy, and asks him if she could use one of the booths here for the next couple days. He's a little confused, but eventually they make a deal that she can use it undisturbed for $50 a day. It seems like she's done this before, and I guess it's a way of having an inconspicuous place to make plans as she hunts the monsters. So they grab a booth, and Erica pulls a few things out of her backpack, including a stuffed octopus, which is kind of weird. She explains the reason she uses places like this is that they don't get a lot of customers during the day, and they've got big tables perfect for looking at a map. The server shows up, a woman named Tam, and Erica orders a beer. If you hadn't noticed, Erica is a little rough around the edges, and Tam is clearly weirded out. As Erica starts looking at the map, James asks if she's done this kind of thing before. We then see a quick montage of Erica in numerous situations fighting monsters with various weapons. So yeah, I think she's done this kind of thing before. Meanwhile, Tam talks to Tommy and informs him that that kid over there is the one who was found with all of his dead friends. Considering James was a prime suspect of the murders, Tommy doesn't like this one bit. Erica starts going through the list of missing kids and marking the spots that they were last seen, hoping to find a general area to search. When they get to Sophie Mahoney, Tommy, who is her older brother, walks up to the table. This of course makes him even more suspicious and angry. He starts asking them what the hell they're up to, and to make the situation worse, James knocks over Erica's bag, revealing the huge knife. Seeing this, Tommy grabs Erica by the shoulder, but she immediately pins him to the table. She tells him she's gonna leave and offers him the money back, but Tommy just tells them to get the hell out of here. After they leave, Tommy calls the police to report suspicious activity. Erica tells James to go home and that she needs to do this next part alone. She heads back to the motel she's staying at, and when she gets into her room, she sets her stuffed octopus on the bed and begins talking to it. She tells it that the monster is a class E7 and that it's likely stashing its food in a cave somewhere. She needs to know what kind of thing it's going to be and needs the octopus to think on it. Surprisingly, the stuffed animal actually replies to her. Outside, the sheriff shows up and starts knocking on Erica's door. He can see a shadow cast in light under the door that's pretty strange, like large tentacles or something. Erica finally opens up and asks what the problem is, and behind her, an ethereal being is hovering above the octopus. It kind of looks like a kid with elf ears and red eyes, but also has several tentacles sprouting out instead of legs. It seems like this entity is something that only Erica can see, but it still makes me wonder what the hell's going on here. Issue number 3. This issue takes no time getting right into the action. A girl in pajamas is cowering in the closet and repeating the phrase, "I don't believe in monsters." Outside, the shadow creature sniffs around and finally breaks the closet door open. The girl dives underneath it and runs for her life. She looks over to see another girl dead with her ribs protruding out of her back. Then she spots another body in the hallway as she runs, and the shock trips her up, sending her falling down the stairs. In the tumble, she snaps her wrist and the bone breaks right through the skin. Oh my god. She kneels, crying at the bottom of the stairs, screaming as the monster moves in on her. In a small bar somewhere in Archer's Peak, a man is a few glasses deep and starts crying over his missing son. Pretty sad. At a table nearby, Tommy explains the weird situation at the restaurant to his friends, including Tam. I guess Erica did end up getting arrested, and he says that if they let her go, he'll take matters into his own hands. At the police station, the town sheriff, named Joe, interrogates Erica, wondering who she is and why she showed up here. She's even more suspicious now that he's seen her ID, which looks like it was made out of Kinko's. In the middle of being questioned, Erica flips it around and starts asking Sheriff Joe the questions. Mainly, she wants to know when the first kid went missing. The sheriff isn't having it though and gets pretty angry. She tells him that soon he's gonna get a call, then he's gonna let her go, and a little after that, this problem is gonna go away. They're interrupted by another cop informing the sheriff that 5 more kids were just found dead. He tells the cop to go ahead and throw her in a cell, but as they walk, Erica tells the sheriff she knows how scared he is, how he feels responsible for all the deaths that he couldn't stop. He asks her point blank if she can stop all of this, and she tells him yeah. There isn't an answer she can give that would make him feel any better, but she can stop more kids from dying. After a moment of thought, and probably desperation, he decides to let her go on the condition that she doesn't leave town. Then he tells her that the first girl to go missing was Sarah Washington, about a month and a half ago. He asks her what he should say when he gets the phone call she mentioned. She tells him to tell the caller he's an asshole and that he should have called sooner. 5 more kids are dead because of him. After he leaves, Sheriff Joe talks to the officer. His name is Tom, and you may recognize him as the cop who originally interviewed James. The sheriff tells Tom to keep an eye on Erica and figure out what she's up to. Erica walks out of the police station to find James waiting for her on a bench. She asks him why he isn't in school, and he says, what's the point? They're not going to fail him, and everyone thinks he killed his friends. Plus, this is something he can actually do to help. She pulls out the stuffed octopus and talks to it again, saying there's no way this is an E7, as it wouldn't be able to kill kids inside of a house. Octopus tells her it seems more in line with a Class B Oscura type. James is a little confused and tells her she seems like an angry person and should maybe spend more time talking to other humans than stuffed dolls. Erica snaps at him, telling him to shut the hell up. After a pause, James apologizes, but Erica says that she's the one who should be sorry. He's been through a lot and she's put her own stress onto him, but there's just a lot of kids dying, and it's been a while since she's fought something like this. James asks what they need to do next, and she says they're gonna need weapons. Lots of weapons. Issue number 4. At a Home Depot, House Depot, Erica shops for chainsaws. The salesman, who you might recognize as the father who is crying at the bar, recommends the high-quality models with safety features that stop when you drop them or lose control, as opposed to the more run-down models that will keep chopping and have a mind of their own. Erica ignores his advice and specifically asks for the shitty chainsaws that keep cutting no matter what. James comes running around the corner with some shears and asks if these are scary enough. Erica says put them in the cart, and the salesman finally gets her the chainsaw that she wants. Elsewhere in Archer's Peak, Tommy shows up at his dad's place, who is hungover and naked on the couch. Gross. He pulls on some tighty-whities when he sees his son and assumes that he's here to tell him that Sophie's body was found. They have an unpleasant conversation, and Tommy storms out to his car where Tam is waiting. She asks if he got it, and Tommy reveals the real reason he was here was to get his dad's gun. At the most recent crime scene, Sheriff Joe and his brother Tim, who happens to be the medical examiner, discuss the situation. Tim is casually chewing bubblegum as he looks at the bodies, which is kind of funny. He believes something scary is happening here. Judging by the bodies, it doesn't seem like a wild animal. He jokingly says that if he had to put a description together, he would think it was a horrible pervert somehow using a bear's head to kill kids because he hates them. But then again, he admits to having a few beers on his lunch. Joe's pretty annoyed with him, but asks the bigger question. How could the killer murder all of these girls without leaving a single track or fingerprint? And most importantly, how could it do that? We then see the opposite wall of the living room, which has a massive hole in it. Just then, an officer says that Joe has a phone call. The person on the other line knows his full name and says that he's very sorry about the troubles his town is facing. The sheriff pretty quickly pieces together that this must be the person Erica mentioned. Next, we see Erica and James heading to the edge of the woods with a cart full of weapons. James asks her what these monsters are exactly, and she says, "They're big scary things that eat children." Not exactly the answer you'd hope for. Obviously, this isn't a very satisfying answer, and James says he doesn't believe in monsters, so why did one eat his friends? She tells him that there's a difference between knowing and believing. He's old enough to know that monsters don't exist, but he doesn't believe that. Not really. When he hears a noise in the woods or a shadow that's shaped wrong, he's still afraid. Basically, his brain's still developing. He can still see the monsters, but adults can't. He then asks Erica the question we're all wondering, which is, how come she can see them then? But she doesn't give an answer and just says that there are ways to make yourself see them. Erica stops at the edge of the woods and says the first girl to go missing, Sarah Washington, was taken around this spot. She believes the nest must be in a cave near here. James wants to go with her, but she tells him he can't come. Tears well up in his eyes, and he says that she promised he could help her. She finally gives in, but if they find a certain type of den, she'll make him wait outside because these things can get stronger, and the way they do is horrible. She makes him promise to do whatever she tells him, and they head into the woods. From afar, we can see Officer Tom watching from his car with binoculars. Joe calls him and tells him there's been a change of plans and not to follow her anymore. Tom notices that the sheriff sounded kind of scared giving these orders and says screw it, grabbing something from his trunk. As he does, he's approached from behind by Tommy, who cold cocks him with a revolver, knocking the cop out. Tommy says they had the chance to keep her locked up, and what happens next is on them. It seems Tommy is hell-bent on getting revenge, thinking that Erica is the killer. Deep in the forest, Erica and James come upon a cave that's covered in blood. She tells James that it's much bigger than she thought it would be, and they begin to smell something foul. She yells at her stuffed octopus, saying it knew this would happen and calling it a piece of shit. She then tells James to stay behind the nearby ridge and not come out no matter what he hears. She hands him her jacket and backpack and grabs some weapons out of the duffel bag. Here we get a badass suit up scene with Erica pulling on her bandana and grabbing the chainsaw, ready to kick some ass. She lights up a glow stick and enters the cave to see the most disturbing image in this comic so far, a pile of children's dismembered corpses. As she looks at the hideous mess, a voice calls out from behind her. Tommy has followed them and entered the cave, and this is all the proof he needed to be fully convinced that Erica is the killer. He points his gun at her, and behind him, we can see the enormous monster moving in. Issue number 5. It's getting dark out and James is waiting in the cold woods. He looks behind a tree and sees a deer carcass rotting, which instantly triggers memories of his dead friends. He can't help but cry and freak out, and then he hears a voice. Erica's octopus starts antagonizing him, calling him a weak little thing and saying he doesn't understand why Erica brought him here. The doll then starts convincing James that it was all his fault that his friends died, and goes further saying that now he's gonna get Erica killed as well. James gets pretty worked up over this, and the octopus convinces the kid to go after Erica and prove his worth. In the cave, the creature is slowly moving toward Erica and Tommy as she tries to convince the poor idiot to put the gun down. Realizing he doesn't quite have the guts to shoot her, Erica runs past him with her chainsaw buzzing and slices off one of the monster's legs. Keep in mind that Tommy can't see it, and from his perspective, she's slashing at thin air and blood is spraying out of nowhere. Erica continues fighting the beast, dodging an attack and doing what I can only describe as a chainsaw shoryuken right into its face. Tommy is bewildered by what he's seeing and thinks it's all some kind of trick. He finally musters up the courage to fire at Erica, reminding himself that she killed his sister, or at least he thinks so. He fires a few shots off, but he's too slow and Erica dodges it. Incidentally, the bullets hit the monster, although Erica calls him an idiot and says that he only made it more angry. He's pretty belligerent and knocks Erica to the ground, then tries to shoot her again, but she kicks his arm, diverting his aim. At that moment, they hear a voice saying, "I only wanted to help." James had entered the cave while they were fighting, and the gunshot hit him right in the gut. Tommy is in shock about what he just did, and Erica hits him hard in the stomach, knocking the gun loose and the wind out of him. As James clutches his bleeding stomach, Erica takes his jacket off and throws it across the cave. The monster must be attracted to the smell and chases it. Meanwhile, Erica tells Tommy that James is going to die if he doesn't stop fucking everything up. They argue for a moment and then hear yet another voice in the cave. A young girl with a scar across her face sneaks out from behind find the pile of bodies. Her name is Bien, and with tears streaming down her face, she says that she's been here a long time. At the same time, Tommy gets a better look at the mound of dead children and unfortunately spots his sister, Sophie, or rather, her dead dismembered corpse. As he mourns over her body, Erica says they're running out of time and she has no other option. She pulls out a strange green object with a sharp end. She calls it the Hoard Gold from the House of Slaughter and says that she needs him to see. Suddenly, Erica jabs the object into Tommy's temple, causing him to bleed profusely. His eyes turn blue, and for a moment, he sees a strange image of multiple people sitting around a table. They all have bandanas, much like Erica's, but of various colors, and stuffed animals as well. One of these people looks like the leader, an old man that has what looks like metallic teeth in the same shape as the symbol on the other bandanas. Tommy snaps out of this vision and can now see the monster that's been terrorizing his town. Erica hands him Bien and tells him he needs to carry her and James out of the cave as fast as possible and get James to a hospital. He looks over at his dead sister again, and Erica promises that if they pull this off, they can come back and get all of the bodies out. So Tommy grabs the kids and heads out of the cave. Before he does, he asks Erica what she's going to do, and she simply says she's gonna kill it. The monster is pissed off and bloody. It lets out a huge howl as Erica starts up her chainsaw. Swearing to God she's gonna kill that octopus, she jumps into the air and slices into the beast's head while simultaneously cutting off one of its arms with her knife. This is a great moment to talk about how awesome the art is in this comic. Not just in action sequences like this, but the character design in general is top tier. Outside on the road, Officer Tom is just coming to when he sees Tommy running toward him with the two kids. Realizing the situation is dire, he doesn't have time to get pissed off at Tommy and instead loads them all up in his car, gunning it for the hospital. Back in the cave, it seems Erica has finished the job. She grabs her bag and gets another phone call. She tells them that she did what she had to do to save 2 lives and she'll deal with the consequences. It seems like she's probably talking about what she did to Tommy. She seems pretty pissed off and tells them that they didn't classify this thing correctly. It wasn't a food stash, but a nest. This was a mother, and now her children are out there somewhere in Archer's Peak. We get one last badass image of Erica sitting atop the monster she just killed, her chainsaw still sticking out of its head. Issue number 6. Erica arrives at the hospital to find that James has survived the gunshot. Tommy approaches her and she scolds him for his reckless behavior again. She asks if he broke anything and is disappointed to find out that he didn't, saying she should have hit him harder then. He asks her what is going on and says that he thinks he's earned some information. She blows him off and starts to leave the hospital, but Tommy reaches out and grabs her arm, demanding to know more. She immediately grabs his hand and breaks his arm, then tells him that he thinks he wants to know what's happening, but he really doesn't. Then she tells him to just get in his car and leave the state for a while until this is all over. In the woods, Sheriff Joe and his brother Tim, the coroner, investigate the cave. At the side of the corpse pile, Tim straight up says he quits, and I don't blame him. He says that once the press finds out what's happened here, this will be a national news story, but Joe tells him that he's been assured that won't happen, probably by the group Erica's associated with. Since the morgue isn't big enough to fit this many dead bodies, they've decided to commandeer the gymnasium at the school. Tim says it's gonna mess the kids up pretty good seeing their brothers and sisters in chunks where they usually play dodgeball. Joe walks out of the cave just as Officer Tom shows up asking questions of his own. You can tell at this point the sheriff has just about had it with everyone asking him questions that he doesn't have the answer to. Erica shows up at the police station to talk to Bien, the little girl from the cave. I guess she hasn't given her last name to the cops yet, and they actually don't know whose family she belongs to. So right now the receptionist is watching her until they figure things out. Erica sits down next to Bien to draw with her and pulls out the octopus doll. She tells her that his name used to be Octo, but now something bad lives inside him and she has to keep it around so it doesn't get out. She asks Bien what she's drawing and the little girl tells her the babies. Her drawing does resemble that of the monster from the cave with several smaller creatures around it. She says that the mama would eat the live kids and the babies would eat the dead kids. She doesn't think they had big enough mouths and arms yet. Jesus, this girl's gonna be messed up for the rest of her life. Anyway, she tells Erica that the mama had 5 babies. Erica's eyes widen at this and she says, "That's a lot of babies." You can tell this isn't going to be easy even for her. Next, we see a gloomy looking mansion in Chicago. There's a dragon symbol on it that you might recognize from Tommy's vision. Inside, a man in a black bandana and a woman in a white bandana have a conversation. The woman tells the man that the old dragon has made a decision and that he'll be headed up north. It seems this man's name is Aaron and he's Erica's superior, though the rest of the group is not happy about how he's handled her and now he has to go to Archer's Peak to clean up her mess. The woman tells him that once the situation is handled, he's to send Erica back here, but he believes she won't ever come back. She tells him that any further breaking of protocol will fall on him. Aaron then inquires about Tommy Mahoney and what to do about him, and the woman says he dies, of course. She adds that the House of Slaughter has learned its lesson about picking up strays, and they look at a large portrait on the wall of a young Erica. Issue number 7. Outside the school gym, parents of the missing and deceased gather while many small body bags are brought inside. As they look at the black bags laid across the gym floor, the coroner, Tim, and Principal Collins remark how fucked up this whole thing is, and Tim pulls a couple of beers out of his bag. Collins says he'll probably need one before he goes out to talk to the parents, and he never thought he'd see something like this in his life. Tim feels the same way, considering he had to just try a jawbone on a few kids to see whose it was. Yeah, that's pretty gnarly. In the woods somewhere, Erica Slaughter is hiding with a machete. The octopus tells her that this won't work. Nearby, something rustles in the bushes, and soon 5 monsters appear. It seems Erica has lured them here using the carcass of their mother, and at the sight of it, they start making horrendous noises. Erica asks what they're doing, and the octopus says they're crying because she killed their mother. Erica jumps down to greet them with her weapon in hand. She rushes towards them and slices furiously, but it's like the blade is just going through them without doing any damage. The monsters then start to fade and soon vanish completely. Erica hears a voice from behind saying, "I want you to tell me why that didn't work." It's Aaron, the man from the House of Slaughter. He starts off by quizzing her in a condescending way about this type of monster called an Oscurotype. Apparently they are shadow forms or concentrated fear and are only solid when they eat, meaning you can only hurt them when they're about to feed. Aaron reminds Erica that he's her superior and she just calls him a spoiled brat who reads all the right books but doesn't actually want to get his hands dirty. He asks why she still tried to attack the monster if she knew it wasn't going to work, and she snaps, saying it's because there are children dying and she didn't want to wait until another one died to do something about it. Aaron has a moment of reflection and says that he's sorry. He realizes this breed is personal to her. This is another clue into Erica's past. Aaron says that they're gonna need some bait and asks about the girl, Bien, as well as Tommy, who he'll need to deal with. Erica doesn't like the sound of any of this, but Aaron reminds her they're not heroes, they're hunters. Finally, she agrees to take him to Bien and they leave. But not far behind them is Tom, who heard their plans. He calls up the receptionist at the police station and tells her that he's on his way to pick up the girl and not to let anyone else take her. Issue number 8. James finally wakes up in the hospital in a lot of pain from the gunshot wound. Sitting across from him is Sheriff Joe. After everything that's happened, he just wants to know what they're really up against and asks James to tell him the truth. He then very seriously tells James he needs to know all about the aliens. James can't help but laugh, and honestly so did I. I don't know why him assuming it was aliens is so funny, even though it's not like that's any crazier than the actual truth. James tells Joe about the creatures and how Tommy Mahoney can see them now too. This gives Joe another lead and he heads out. At the station, Bien is having a conversation with the receptionist. She asks if the woman has ever seen a dead body, and she says that she was there when her father passed, but it wasn't scary and was actually peaceful. With a smile, she says that she knows her father is looking down on her from heaven. Bien says, "That sounds nice. Did anything try to eat him?" It's hilarious how the smile immediately fades from the old lady's face. Just then, Erica and Aaron show up to take Bien, but just behind them is Officer Tom pointing a gun. Erica tries to tell him he doesn't know what he's doing. Meanwhile, the receptionist starts to call the sheriff, but before she can, Aaron smacks her over the head with his cane, knocking her out. Jeez. Stuck in the middle, Bien doesn't really know what to do. Tom tries to convince her to come with him, reminding her that he took her in his warm car away from the monster in the woods. Erica says that she won't let anything happen to the girl, but Bien knows that Erica wants to kill the monster's babies. She says that the babies don't know that they're bad and doesn't want Erica to hurt them. Aaron is done with this whole discussion and lunges forward to take out Tom, but before he does, Erica knocks him out cold. She just decides to let Tom take her, but asks that he keep her safe and warns him not to hide out anywhere obvious. As Tom and the girl leave, Erica looks at the mess they've made. Aaron and the old woman both knocked out on the floor of the station. Back at the high school, Tim and Principal Collins finally decide it's time to start the process of letting the parents identify their children's bodies. Tim tells them that this is going to be a rough day for everyone and that Principal Collins will call the names of the families one at a time. Tommy is waiting in the crowd with his mother and tells her this is going to take hours, trying to convince her that she can go home and that he can handle this. She tells him he's not going to talk her out of this and says he's a grown man and should find something better to do than get in everyone's way. Damn, I actually feel bad for Tommy here. He wanders off into the school parking lot near the edge of the woods and starts calling Tam, telling her he needs to get the hell out of this town. He hangs up, however, when he sees something big moving behind the trees. Meanwhile, at the police station, Aaron wakes up pissed off and says that Erica needs to get the girl because the monster will only get stronger with every kill. She tells him that she'll get his bait, but I don't think she means bien. We go back to Tommy, who slowly enters the woods and finds a trail of blood. He calls Tam again and tells her he needs a favor. She needs to find the creepy blonde girl and tell her that the monsters have made it to the school. He's then interrupted when he looks up to find the torn up body of another kid, and suddenly the 5 creatures surround him. And that's where I'm going to end the video today. But don't worry, next week we'll conclude the Archer's Peak story arc. And I'll warn you, somehow everything just keeps getting worse in this comic. It's bloody and brutal all the way through. Obviously, there's a lot of mysteries, like what is the House of Slaughter and what's with the different colored bandanas? Why do they all have stuffed animals like Erica's octopus? And how did Erica become a monster hunter to begin with? Well, we will get some answers next week, so stay tuned. Shout out to Kill Me Katie, as always, for the intro and outro music, which is likely playing right now. And if you want to see your art at the end of my videos, email me a submission to the address below with a name or social media handle. Also, become a channel member if you want to support what I do here. I just posted the first movie club video covering Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, so go check that out. But I appreciate you guys watching at all. This is Grief speaking. Goodbye, friends.